welcome to our second part of today's Surrealism Symposium. And first I will present a bit of my work, what I did, and then I will hand over to Sairam. So the main part is I thought could go with Sairam. We will see. Okay. Slide is this works also well. Okay. Without further ado, to have not so much time lag, what I want to present today is a kind of continuation from last year. And with Sairam, we have split up the centuries. I ended up with looking at the 19th century, by the way, before Surrealism, and then Sairam kept with the 20th and 21st century. So what I, okay, let me, okay. The outline is a bit small here, but I think you can see it.
I'm able to see.
Sairam?
I'm able to see, yes.
You can see also. Yeah. Try to keep your microphone closed at the moment. Otherwise, we have background noise.
Okay, I'll keep it close to my face. Are you able to hear it right now?
I shortly present what I have thought, and then I hand over to you, and we can.
Perfect. Could I just add one thing, Gerhard? Could I just add one point?
Like, tell again.
Can I just add one thing?
One thing.
Can I just say one thing? Can I just say one thing?
You want to see one thing? To say? Please say something. Yes.
Yes. Yeah. What I wanted to say is that since the wall presentation is really long, I just want this. I just want our speakers to know that I have gone through Greer's thesis completely, but I don't think we might have time to conclude on that. So after going through Greer's thesis, we have concluded that
yes,
we can discuss the wall as surrealism, as a depiction of
yes
in this context.
Yes, we will. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah?
Your sound was now absolutely clear. It was
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
all right.
Yeah. Thank you. Now, I was then when last year I was here. I have a little overview about Sairam's material from last year. We will not go through it today. And here is a bit of my model I have presented already last year. So two distant realities that are brought together, which is the basic thing we agree on in Surrealism. What I have here, yeah, it's a kind of conclusion I have put here. I go further. What I was interested already last year was looking back how the 19th century, how the Romanticist understanding of what is music and what music affords, how it could be connectable to surrealistic thinking in a very structural way, in a very abstract way, different realities coming together or even don't come together. Here I start with the two worlds model that was developed by Hans Heinrich Eggebrecht based on Wilhelm Heinrich Wackenroder's ideas. So what we have in the beginning of the 19th century, we have poets and literates who are writing and thinking about music, and what they are doing, they juxtapositioning the world of music with the real world where people live in. And here the two worlds model by Eckerbrecht that is based on Wackenroder has two panels. In the upper panel, the movement from one world to the other is possible, but in the lower panel, Eckerbrecht suggests a situation where the artist, the musician, the composer can't get back to the real world. We have the real world here on the left side, and we have the art world on the right side. And so in the 19th century, aesthetics, they have given music a very big power to transcend, to bring people who listen to music to a different world, and it could even be a kind of escape possibility from the real world that may have been quite, let's say, quite problematic. So what I now offer here is some quotations that, in my opinion, are quite, if we compare it with the surrealist situation, that is very much connected to the world wars and war as a situation that is quite surrealistic itself, as we today already spoke about. War was also in the 19th century a topic for people. This, I think, comes with the second quotation. The first quotation is just simple. The land of music is a land of faith, where all our doubts and our sufferings are lost in a sea of sound. And how, instead of any answer and revelation, we are shown airy, beautiful cloud shapes, the sight of which calms us, we don't know how. So this is just one example quotation from Wackenroder, how they looked at music that was at this time still classicistic. But with Beethoven, of course, we know that Beethoven was both a classicist composer and is regarded as a romanticist composer. So Beethoven himself stands between two worlds, kind of, no, he didn't know about a surrealistic situation, but when I look at it now, for me, I see quite an similarity. How Beethoven used musical material was quite different from what in the classicist paradigm was used. Here is the second quotation. So I close my eyes to all the war in the world. Here comes the war connection, and quietly retreat into the land of music, into the land of faith, where all our doubts and our sufferings are lost in a sea of sound, where we forget all the croaking of men, where no chatter of words and languages makes us dizzy, but all the fear of our hearts is healed at once by a gentle touch. Okay, for the romanticists, it was a kind of healing. This I think we don't find later in surrealist thinking, but the escape from an unbearable situation into a different world. This similarity strikes me. Then when we talked with Sairam, he was listening to a quite new book, The Hidden Habits of Genius by Craig M. Wright, and I also a bit listened to it, and I was intrigued by the opposite thought theory Craig is presenting, and opposite thought as a kind of no, as a driver for creativity. Again, if you look at surrealism, then opposite worlds, opposite thoughts come together and create something. And then I myself came across Slavoj Žižek, philosopher, who has analyzed Beethoven's Ninth Symphony. And this is, yeah, we can see it here. He is analyzing all the movements, but I keep myself to the first movement, which starts with something that is and Žižek is using again contemporary philosophy thoughts by Schelling, 1815, beginning of the 19th century, that the beginning is not the beginning. So what comes before the beginning? So a situation that is not yet developed, that is unclear yet, etc. And that is called a chaotic, psychotic universe of blind drives with rotary motion and undifferentiated pulsating energy, etc., etc. And then when the first theme, Žižek names motifs and not themes, but that's not a difference. So, and if then the first theme steps in, then it's a kind of differentiation and decision, an act of decision from what was in the past, undecided, and what comes now in the present, etc. And as we know that the sonata form itself juxtaposes different themes, motifs in Žižek's terminology. So, and these are very different worlds, but according to Žižek, Beethoven is mixing them. So the theme that should not be violent becomes violent, and the theme that is lyrical may turn into something which is totally the opposite. So Beethoven is mixing these conventions and is mixing these situations quite in a, let's say, for us, not surprising or not surrealistic way, but maybe if we think that we are in the 19th century and people were used to classicistic music, and then comes Beethoven and turns all around and mixes things, then this may have been a quite surrealistic situation for a listener of these days. What here, yeah, one is the kind of closed rotary motion that doesn't go anywhere, and the other is then when the theme is starting, then it develops into something, and this one has been called the real, the what is the chaotic psychic universe of blind drives has been called the real in Lacanian terms, and the other, when things become clear, then it becomes symbolic. This is what Žižek here analyzing. and motive, yeah, Zizek calls it the motive is one is followed by motive two as the lovely pastoral world, but their interplay is quite contrasting, climatic. It can become quite violent, etc., etc. So I think we will not go more deeper into it. The exposition ends very abrupt, etc. So just to, I don't know how it sounds now over Jitsi, I don't know, but let us listen to the Ninth Symphony first part to some minutes.
Why are some people so good at talking?
Sorry, sorry for the in this browser I have no ad blocker. Sorry. Etc., etc. So I think I will not continue with playing this, but the contrasts that are in the music, and Zizek has explained them. Maybe more the explanation of Zizek reminds me of a kind of surrealistic situations than the music itself. But as we know, this is surrealism takes place in our own head. But with Beethoven is abruptly changing situations, emotions, etc., and turning things upside down. So this is, I think there is, of course, something that is quite relatable. And now, because we had the last talk was about AI, then I would like to play to end my part with an AI project that wanted to finish the Beethoven's 10th symphony. So they start part we have of Beethoven's 10th Symphony has been by a team of researchers and composers between 2019 and 2021, before ChatGPT, before all possibilities increased. At once they had developed such a project, how to finish this Beethoven's 10th Symphony. Here I have linked an article in English to it, and I recently translated a discussion that took place at Tallinna University, where this project was explained, etc., etc. So coming from now the 9th Symphony to the 10th Symphony, let me check.
Alusta suitsuvaba elu.
Sorry. I should have taken the other browser. Okay, now. Skip. No thanks. Yeah, so let's say we cannot really compare the parts, but because it's the scherzo here, but let's say for me the AI Beethoven is much more smooth than the original, and let's say in the process there was a whole process between composers and musicians that work together. It is not just it was not just the case that they put something into an algorithm and there comes Beethoven 10th out. No, it was a more complicated process where they had to choose between 7-8 seconds are Beethoven, the other is then generated, but with the help of experts. So it is nothing that we press a button and then comes out the full symphony that otherwise wouldn't exist. So it is much more complicated, much more human, human touch is in this project than people would normally think about. Yeah, this is what I wanted to very quickly. I looked at the time. I want to give Sairam more time, so that's why it may have been a quite rough overview of my thoughts. But let us now come to Sairam. What material you want me to show, or do you want to share yourself? Your microphone is closed still. You are migrating. Nee. Ta otsi kohta. Nee. We can't hear you. Your microphone is closed still.
Yes, now are you able to hear me?
Yes, we hear you now. Perfect.
Yeah, so I said we can start by sharing the first document.
Part 1, okay.
Yes, part 1.
Part 1, yes.
So Gerhard, it's a Google Doc. So I will just go page after page after page, and as I'm going, I think even you can slide through.
Just a second.
It's a simple Google Doc. It's a simple Google Doc. That's it.
Okay, just give me a second. I have to reshare. Stop sharing. Or do you? Nee. Can you share this yourself, or should I share it?
Am I able to share this myself? How do I do it?
Look at the buttons. The button number 3 from left side is the sharing button.
Okay, let me
Right?
see.
Yes.
There are buttons here. Wait.
It's like Zoom, but the first is the microphone, then we have the camera, and then we have the sharing button.
Sharing button. Okay. Wait,
Yeah.
microphone, camera, then there is comments. And then there is a
Then
hand.
there should be the start screen sharing.
Share the meeting link, share meeting invitation. I don't see share screen.
Okay. Let me try. Okay, let me try it from my side still. It's not the first. It is here. Let me try to share it. Yeah.
I think, yeah, you just need.
Can you see it?
Yes, I can see it. I can see it.
You can see it, but my colleagues here in the room can't see it. That's strange. Okay. Yeah, now we see something in the room. Okay, yeah.
Gerhard, maybe we can do one thing. I made it in the Google Doc format so that everybody can open the link in their computer and they can follow along.
We now see it. Yeah.
No problem, Sairam.
Yeah,
Yeah.
everybody sees it?
We see it now. Yeah, great.
Excellent. So I will just go through the document and start talking. I think
Yes.
we can all just follow, right, with the photos.
Yes, please.
So hello everyone. The thing is, I have put timestamps. I mean, taken screenshot of the video. Maybe if Gerhard comes down, I can show.
Yes.
And I have made my own sketches as well. So if you see those timestamps, I think later when Gerhard said that there will be a viewing of the wall film, when you can watch it later, I think every part you can just browse to that minute and second and be able to view the whole thing.
Yes, I have shared it with our community already. Yes.
With everybody, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. So is it a good time for me to start?
Yes, please. Yes.
Excellent. So yes, I'm just opening my doc.
Nee.
You're able. Hello.
Start over again. We lost you.
Perfect.
Start over. We lost you. Now we have you back.
You have me.
Yes.
Okay. Now, do you have me now?
Yes. Perfect.
You have me. Okay.
Yes.
So, yes. So I have gone through Greer's thesis and we had studied it in detail, but since we don't have time, we won't be interpreting that into this. But Greer's thesis on art and music in surrealism led to this, as Greer strongly emphasizes the importance of video as a medium to express surrealism through music. So through the initial study, we discussed that we would be covering Pink Floyd's The Wall album, and that is how this came. So I will now quickly jump into this because it's a long document, so I want to make sure I finish it on time. Okay. Volume is correct, right? Not a problem. Can I start?
Yes. Perfect. Perfect.
Excellent. So, yes, I'll just go through it. So, Surrealism in Pink Floyd's The Wall. So, this is a lucid, subjective identity translation found in an artist's surreal interpretation of the objective elements, like the people in his life, the events that happened to him, and places within his own life experience. So it's basically a subjective identity translation with the events and the people and the circumstances that are happening in the artist, the protagonist, the hero, Pink here. He is able to translate this in a very beautiful, lucid surreal way in the form of imagery, symbolism, and as per our last year's lecture on subjectivity and objectivity, he's actually able to translate a subjective subconscious reality by using objects, places, or events that happen in his life. And that is kind of what we're going to delve into. So, the whole album is actually, in my opinion, a loop, which means that is, even though it is played one song after the other, every song and every chapter is actually circular, which means they all come back to the same point and they all start to play in a loop. So that is how we will be kind of going through the whole thing. So now we're going to enter into the songs itself. So song number 1 starts to play The Little Boy That Santa Forgot. So this is actually written by Vera Lynn. Now why Vera Lynn becomes important is there is actually a song called Vera in the middle of the album, and this just plays like faintly in the background. Before I proceed, Gerhard, I think most people are familiar with this album and the film, right? I'm assuming.
With the film, I'm not sure, but with the album, I think
With the album, yes, right?
we have heard about Pink Floyd's The Wall album, I think. Yeah, please.
Okay. Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. So Vera Lynn was a famous singer during the Second World War time, which is where Pink. I'm going to refer to the protagonist as Pink. The
Yes.
main hero character is called as Pink here, but is actually Roger Waters, who is the primary source of this album. It is basically his, you can say, autobiographical life story. So Vera Lynn was this famous singer during the Second World War, and all the things that she would talk about was, if we come down to the highlighted part, in the street he envied all those lucky boys, then wandered home to last year's broken toys. I'm so sorry for the laddie, he hasn't got a daddy, the little boy that Santa Claus forgot. So it starts off with this part, which happens in 1944, where Pink's dad was killed in Anzio in Italy. He was part of the Royal Fusiliers Company C, which is in the British Army. So he was killed during a bombing, where they were asked to hold the Anzio Bridge, and the generals just said that this company has to hold it, and all the lives were sacrificed. So he starts off with this reminiscence of Vera because he has a deep subconscious relation with Vera, who has this song later in the album who says that please bring the boys back home. It's a famous British track during that time, is that bring the boys, as in the soldiers back home. So it starts with this whole reminiscent thing. So everything in the album which we are going through in the beginning already happens somewhere in the end. So that's how kind of the loop starts. So the musical album and also the show actually starts with this question, which says in the flesh. So we are going to be studying this a lot in detail. Okay, so the song playing in the start, The Small Boy That Santa Forgot, was written by Vera Lynn. We shall return to this part later. So this, if you come down the video snippets, this is how the album actually starts. It starts in this hotel lobby. As you can see, these lights, these pathway lights, they're all there, and that's how the camera pans in. And it starts with this maid, this worker lady, who has this vacuum cleaner. She goes there and she puts her leg on the vacuum cleaner, and kind of that is how the album actually starts. So this same gallery that we're talking about, this hotel lobby, is the same lobby from where Pink is actually dragged out during the most important song in this whole album, which is Comfortably Numb. So if you actually start to see the photos below that I've screenshot, you'll be able to see that it's literally the same. It's the same hotel room. Those lights which are coming out are the ones that are burning pink for the artist, his flesh, and the door closes. So when we start to understand the first track, right, coming out of the same room into the flesh, burning lights, is how Pink's flesh starts to burn. And if you come down the photos, it goes out of the same corridor as in the beginning, exposed to the light. Now, there are certain terms in this which I have highlighted when I'm calling light, which I'm calling worms, which I'm calling as flesh. These become really important characters who become, you can say, a brick in erecting the wall. So we will keep coming back to these loops, but for now, let's just look at it as this is the same corridor through which, as the lights come on, pink gets burned and the worms are born. If you look at it in the last slideshow. And in the flesh, with a question mark. Now, this is really important because there are two tracks. There's in the flesh question mark, and there's in the flesh without a question mark. So this holds a lot of significance, which we'll discover as we go down. I have sketched out things about the album, which we'll go through. So this maid, as we come through, when the room cleaner or the maid, she opens the lock, connecting the chains, which is holding the wall together. The chains open and like rebelling youth comes out, and kind of that is how the whole album starts, and that is how the song In the Flesh actually starts. So if we can come to my sketch above. Gerhard, is this a right way to explain? Is it working?
I think so. Your sketch is upside down. It's 90 degrees.
It doesn't fit in the Google Doc because it's a horizontal.
Yeah. We see only half of it.
You only see half of it. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Because I see the full.
We see. I double clicked it. Now we see it better. Yeah.
Okay. You double clicked it, so it got into that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I think.
Yeah. Rotate. I try to rotate it.
I think all of them will be like this, no? Because they're all wide in portrait. Sorry, in landscape.
Kujutis, just a second. We try to turn it. Suuruse pööramine, just a second. Just a second. What we find here to pööramine, it's lukust, aga we can't turn it. We can't turn it. So, okay, but yeah, we can't turn it. Talk.
Let's continue.
Yeah, please continue. Please continue.
Okay.
Yes. Yes, you can continue.
Okay, so can we come to song number 2, the sketch? Song number 2, In the Flesh.
Did you want to say something about your drawings? About your...
Yes. So I want to first start by saying something about
yes,
about song number 2. One
okay,
second.
Then we go to song number 2. Song number 2, In the Flesh, instrumental. Yeah.
Yes, song number 2, instrumental. So I would like to first explain the album a little bit geographically, because when I'm talking about it being a loop, I kind of drew, you can say, a 3D imagery of the full album in terms of sketches, so that we can understand that in different songs, Pink is, or the camera itself is just going around in circles. There is no chronological progression. It's actually a circular loop which just goes over and over and over again and breaks in the end, in the last track. So in the flesh, when you see the first sketch, the one that is horizontal, which I'm calling the wall, there is a complete wall around, and you see the mother. You see the mother's embrace. She's hugging Pink, and there is a full wall around. Her hands are becoming the wall. Are we able to notice that? And Pink is basically sitting in the middle. Are we able to see that?
I think so, yes.
Yeah.
It's easy.
It's easy to understand, right? Yeah, yeah. So when we come to the second sketch below, where I've written in red, so I think you're able to see that inside the wall, Pink is sitting there alone in the flesh. Yeah, so this term is going to become very important because there's different psychological states that Pink goes through. So Pink in the flesh is sitting inside this wall, which is becoming like a mother's hands, and she is keeping Pink safe inside. So he is sitting inside this, and where the mother's two thumbs come together, like where the two thumbs come together, is where those chains are there. Yeah, I think that is clear in the sketch, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So the artist Pink is sitting behind the wall, inside his mother's controlling embrace, and those chains are the ones that open during the first power chord. He starts with this, beautiful E minor power chord, and that is when the chains open, and we see like everyone, coming inside for the concert. So when people are coming inside the concert, they're coming inside the concert. It looks like they're coming inside the concert or the show, but they're actually breaking the chains of the wall and actually entering this circular loop where Pink or the artist is actually performing inside. Yeah?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So we come down, and so multiple songs will be linked to every instance, because that's how the album keeps rotating as a loop. So I'm just going to read the text. When the room cleaner opens this lock, right, connecting the chains, she's opening the last door on that hotel corridor on the left-hand side. Okay? Because it is the same door from which Pink will come out later during Comfortably Numb. So when the room cleaner opens that lock, connecting the chains, which is holding the wall together, the chains open and they're rebelling youth from the songs Run Like Hell. So there are these, young people who come in the song Run Like Hell. And there are the soldiers from the British Royal Fusiliers Company C, which is what his dad was a part of. Those soldiers come out in the same way in the song When the Tigers Broke Free. Yeah, so they all enter into the wall and come to the show.
Mm-hmm.
So we see that the chains open and everyone rebelliously comes in. But surprisingly, Pink is not there. Referencing the song and the repeated line throughout the album, is there anybody out there? When the audience come to the show, they realize that Pink is not there. The audience finds that when they come to the show, in the place of the artist Pink is the antagonist dictator, who obviously Pink, is portraying as dictator during the war, who was responsible for killing his father. So Pink's eyes are cold and he's performing with a surrogate band, which means he's not performing with his original band, but he's actually performing with a surrogate band. The audience can't find Pink in flesh. So here it becomes symbolically to say that Pink in flesh as the artist is not there anymore. Yeah, we have in place of Pink, we have the antagonist dictator who was actually responsible for all the things that have happened to Pink, which we will study through the album. Yeah, so we have the opposite of, we can say we have the abuser in place of the victim, who is the artist. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. So hence the beautiful title of the track with a question mark saying "In the flesh?" question mark. That is how the album starts. In the flesh question mark, which means Pink is asking the audience. So, like in the flesh, am I in the flesh? The audience are coming to the show, but are they seeing the artist in the flesh? So I'll just go through the lyrics. So you thought you might like to go to the show to feel the warm thrill of confusion, that space cadet glow. Is there something eluding you, sunshine? Now, sunshine becomes very important in this whole thing. Sunshine, light becomes a very big theme. Is this not what you expected to see? If you want to get a look at what's behind these cold eyes, you'll just have to claw your way through this disguise. So this is how the album is starting, that they have broken through the chains, they have entered the wall, they have entered the arena of the wall. But now he's saying you'll have to go and understand my backstory if you really want to know Pink in the flesh, which will be a track for later. Yeah, so that will be a track without the question mark. It will be called as In the Flesh. So that whole journey between In the Flesh question mark to In the Flesh without a question mark, you can say, when Pink is in the flesh, is going to be this journey from here till Comfortably Numb. Okay, so the album as a loop starts from here with the question in the flesh. As the dictator Pink says, if you want to find out what is behind these cold eyes, you have to claw your way through this disguise. That's basically how the album starts. Clawing your way through the flesh to unveil the antagonist, the dictator, is what one of the journeys of the album mainly takes you through. Now we come to quite an interesting point. This becomes the starting of, you can say, Pink's journey itself, because this is before his birth, or like at the very start of his birth, when his father in 1944 is in Anzio in Italy, and they are holding a bridgehead out there, the British Army. He's a part of Royal Fusiliers Company C. They're holding a bridge, and the generals told them that, you have to hold the bridge. We have to sacrifice this whole battalion. And that's kind of how he dies when a bomber plane comes and, bombs him. So if we come and look down at the photos, right? I think we're able to see his father, him lighting a lantern. And that's how kind of the album, starts after this song. So I'll just go through the text. In my opinion, one of the most centrifugal points, which I call the light, can be found in the connection between the beginning of the film with the tiger broke free and the most pivotal moment of the album, which is Comfortably Numb. Pink's father lights the lamp of the dawn of when the bomber plane destroyed his British army holding the Anzio Bridge. The same light is shown transferred onto the sun shining on this big wide ground on which young Pink is seen running towards. What young Pink runs towards, in my opinion, the most powerful thing behind the album, which we will discuss during Comfortably Numb. So this is kind of how the short sequence goes, is that the song When the Tigers Broke Free comes in, and his dad is lighting a matchstick, and then he lights this lantern, and he sees this lantern, and the camera goes onto the lantern, and that same lantern becomes this halo against the sun. And if you see in the far away, there is a child running towards us in the last snapshot, and that child is little Pink. He keeps running towards this object which started the whole thing, the light. It started the whole thing. We see this multiple times throughout the album, that Pink is just running towards something, but they never say what it is until the Comfortably Numb. So now we're coming on to When the Tigers Broke Free. Gerhard, is this way okay of explaining?
Yes, I think so.
Yeah, it's working, right? Okay, just wanted to check.
We are on the same page, I think.
Thank you. Yes, we are on the same page. I just saw. Yes. Yeah. Okay. So when the Tigers broke free, so in my opinion, I feel like every incident in Pink's life, Pink or the artist, right here, Pink's life, every incident he makes it into a brick, and he erects it as, when I say brick, he psychologically makes it into something. He boxes it into a brick to say that, okay, this is enemy number 1, this is enemy number 2, this is enemy number 3, or this is, situation number 1, 2, 3, which I'm supposed to avoid. Like psychologically, it starts to become like that. Every trauma in his life becomes a brick, which he eventually erects as a wall, and that wall is behind which he is sitting. And that is the psychological layers that we'll be peeling in this very beautiful, surreal psychological transformation of the identity of the artist. So here, I have always notated which is the brick that he's filling. Okay, so filling the first brick in the wall with Pink's dad's war incident. So here is where we see, now this is across multiple songs, I have screenshotted. So Pink touches bullets in the same pistol which his dad cleaned. We see Pink wearing the same dad's uniform, and he is touching the same bullet. And as he picks up the bullet, if you actually go back to the the prequel of the song, we see that the dad is actually putting this. He's cleaning the holes of where the bullets would actually come inside the pistol, and what Pink's dad cleans is what Pink inserts in. So it's a very symbolic way of their connection through this. Now, immediately after this scene, when we understand that this is how the dad passed away, to baby Pink being born, we come to the child Pink being born. So that starts with the song Goodbye Blue Sky. Now, understanding the surreal subjective transformation of objects to vibrate with the underlying feeling of the loss of innocence in the subconscious of Pink. So this is actually very beautifully shown in this song, where there is a slow transition between innocence to what took over during the wartime, during 1940s early Britain. So small Pink is born, as we can see. The baby's photos there, and the mother is there, and she is just she's just relaxing with the baby on the side. And then there's a beautiful scene where this pigeon comes and a cat starts to chase it, and the pigeon flies up in the air. And I'm just explaining the photo montage. Okay, so the pigeon flies up in the air. Then it slowly goes into the cartoon version, which is sketched out by Gerhard Scarfe. So yeah. So it comes on, and you have this beautiful white pigeon which completely opens up, and you see this black bird come out, and this black bird gets transferred into the eagle, which obviously is the symbol of the Nazi times, about how which was their symbolism at the time. So that slowly becomes a bomber plane, which is hovering over Britain and comes and takes up, and with its legs, the eagle snatches a whole locality. If you can see, the eagle is snatching a whole part of a town, you can say, which is what happens when the bombs get destroyed, right? Your homeland is just like snatched away, and the eagle is flying away with it. And if you see where I put the yellow lines, you can see that it's Britain, because you can obviously see it's London. That is what the bomber plane is flying over. And in the place where the bomber plane took that land from, the homeland from, is erected this really slothy monster, which translates into what you can, I think if you zoom in, you might be able to see, which translates into the British Army as all the, fighter planes are released from its wings. So this is a very beautiful surreal montage, which translates, and as those fighter planes are released, you start seeing crosses in the sky. I haven't shot everything, otherwise this document becomes very long. They start becoming crosses in the sky, and then those fighter plane pilots die, and they come down, and their crosses are put in the graveyard, and like you see the Britain flag bleeding, and that becomes blood, and that leads on to, you can say, the next song. So filling the second brick in the wall with Pink's home Great Britain, is Britannia getting bombed by the Black Eagle bomber planes. Now, I mentioned Britannia here itself because towards the end of the album, when Pink is enacting the dictator, when Pink goes into the abuser role, he puts this as the exact opposite. If we come down the snapshots, you will see that he starts to become the ruler of he starts to become the dictator, and Britain goes under you can say a dictatorship role, and on every car they come and put this poster called that Britannia rules. I think we can see that. So it's a complete flip, and this is where when Gerhard mentioned that we're speaking of opposites, it's very important to notice that there's a lot of opposite identity happening in order for the artist to purge or even get over his own trauma. So brick number 2, I would say, is homeland getting completely destroyed. So yeah, I have also screenshot the lyrics there. Would you like to see Britannia rule again, my friend? So this happens during the song Waiting for the Worms, which is just one song before the end. So this rage completes its loop when in the song Waiting for the Worms, Pink becomes the antagonist dictator who makes Britannia or Great Britain set the rules and finish the loop of the victim becoming the abuser. Yes, now we come on to Thin Ice. So slipping through the thin ice of modern life. Now, Thin Ice is a very, though I'm starting with one song, Thin Ice, it connects with 5 or 6 songs throughout the album. Now, Thin Ice, he's specifically he's symbolizing modern life, like the thin ice of modern life. So filling the third brick of the wall of the fans slash masses slash audience slash pop chart success, leading eventually to societal isolation. So in my opinion, the third brick in the wall is the fans itself, the masses, the people that make the modern world in the 80s, which is when this album was written. So I'm just going down. In my opinion, Pink had gotten successful. Gerhard, we're on the right page, right? Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
In my opinion, Pink had gotten successful. Yeah, so now I'm also referring to Pink Floyd as a whole. In my opinion, Pink had gotten successful through his music. With it has come all the luxuries of modern life. However, the source of his music and the modern life he lives do not coincide. So here I've taken the parts of the lyrics. But the foundation of his music, which has been appreciated by the fans, which is the modern world, is built on an innocent and pure artist's self. So what's actually happening is that the people who are so-called appreciating Pink's music, his commercial success and the luxuries that he now enjoys, the vibration of that does not actually match what him as the artist had actually written about. So I think we can see this page and then move on to the sketch below. I think if we come to the section below, are we able to see the section below?
What section below?
Yeah, there is an image with the section.
Image of the section.
Yeah, the sketch. There's a sketch of the section and the elevation. Yeah, so
I'm on the right page. Sairam?
So
yes.
One sec. Yeah, below the lyrics is this sketch I have made. You're able to see that, right?
We see a sketch, but
Yeah.
this is the right thing. We have on the right side, we have Mama loves her and Daddy loves it, with yellow.
Bomber plane screen. Wait, I'll just come to your... Yes. This is the one. I think you're only able to open half of my images. Is it, Gerhard?
Yeah, for some. Yeah, now we see somehow the whole thing. But yeah, your images are a bit strangely distributed.
Okay, can you just open that image and...
Yeah, we cannot open it better. We see it somehow. You can continue.
Can you move it to a better place, like just bottom? So, do you want me to share the image in the chat? I can do that.
Ask again what you can do.
I can
Now,
share the image in the chat.
No, I think we see.
You see it, right?
Yeah, I think we see enough. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you see enough. So, yeah, you're on the right one. So if you look at where I've written modern life, so you see this model where the whole model is actually a circular wall. I think if you see the plan on the left side, you'll be able to see that the whole thing is like a circular wall. The whole thing has been looped by his mother's embrace, and there are multiple layers here. These layers are the layers of his subconscious. So when I'm speaking about modern life, I'm talking about the topmost layer. So where I've written section, I think on the top you'll be able to see that Pink is swimming. He is swimming in modern life, and then he falls into deeper and deeper states of his core.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So those images will come as we go through. So I'll just start reading and we can go it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the foundation of his music has been appreciated by the fans. The modern world is built on an innocent and pure artist self. As seen in the section below, his core identity does not vibrate at the same frequency of the applause from the audience that he receives for his music. The first part of the lyrics, where Pink's innocence or his unconditioned infant creative self is found. So this is like when the scene with the baby is like just born. It's a very infant and very unconditioned, very creative self. That's where mama loves her baby, daddy loves you too. The sea may look warm, and they're talking about the two connotations of water. Yeah, like or like of blue. We are talking about the sky and the sea being blue and innocent. Blue as being innocent. So lies in his early childhood. This is the light. The light is what Pink. So this, like that infant self, right? That innocence. This innocence is also the light which I'm speaking about, which gets revealed during Comfortably Numb. He's constantly trying to get back to this initial feeling of innocence before all the darkness, before the war, before trying to get to this point. Okay, so the light is what Pink is trying to touch or reach throughout the film. The climax happens in Comfortably Numb. But that early childhood is connected to the incident with his father, which the army slash authority slash government slash dictator was responsible. In my opinion, the way the album progresses, Pink has been unable to experience gratitude for the fans slash masses slash audience's admiration for his music, as he has been unable to draw the lines between the idea of his childhood trauma with the authority and the fans slash masses slash audience slash pop chart appeal. So this is where the vibrational frequency has kind of had an issue, is that what he sees as authority and what he sees as success now in the modern world, they do not coincide with his original source of where all this music is coming from, which is what he's being appreciated for in the first place. So, but it is also important to see that Pink's lyrics and music is highly deep and contemplative. Now, this is an important point, which I think most of us artists here can resonate, is that generally the audience for such music is a select niche who has an appreciation for artistic vulnerability. However, Pink's music achieved pop chart success, in which you're talking about number of records sold, MTV pop chart success, exposure to masses, mass appeal, idea of popularity is equal to good music. I think we can all resonate with that, that when we're talking about pop music or pop charts music, the audience for that, or the way an artist is judged, is completely different from an artist being judged for his artistic depth and you can say, sensitivity or vulnerability. So the judgment parameter becomes very different, and I think this is also one of the reasons how Pink fell into this psychological wall, is because music as deep as this and as contemplative as this generally vibrates with a different kind of audience, a more you can say more niche audience. While here we are speaking about MTV success, so we are speaking about, like, idea of popularity is equal to good music, which is, then Pink is going to attract a kind of fan who's completely, you can say, mass, and does not exactly understand what him as an artist, his deepest self, is trying to say. So this meant that the idea of authority slash power is in the masses' hands slash what MTV feeds them as good music. Here is where I feel that Pink's early childhood trauma with authority doesn't allow him to differentiate between the fans slash appreciators of his music and the authority. And this is where another brick in the wall comes in, like the song with, the teachers and stuff. So getting commercial success and popular success for the same lyrics that is in the image above, the lyrics of a highly commercial and pop chart hit song Money by Pink Floyd, was ridiculed and laughed at by his professor and all his peers in school. Like the lyrics to Money. So, Pink is writing the lyrics to Money in school, and the professor or the authority comes in and picks up the lyrics, reads it out in front of all the children, and just laughs and makes fun of him and says, just get back to work, like, this is of no use. And the same lyrics ends up getting commercial success, and it's the same people, like the school teacher, who have become his fans. I think now we're able to see the vibrational difference, right? Like if this same authority figure ends up becoming the mass fan because they consume that from MTV top, top pop charts or whatever, then there is a huge contradiction inside Pink's psychology as to how he relates to his fans. There isn't a sense of gratitude, but there is still this underlying feeling that, oh, these are the same people who, hated my inner self when I was young and actually making all this. So from from the same people that laughed at him, his poetic innocence doesn't sit well with Pink. It's more a question of the artist asking the audience, "You have no idea who I am, and you are just buying my records because the society slash MTV tells you that this is good music." Because these were literally the same lyrics that you laughed at when the artist was young. Yeah, so throughout the album, at various stages, Pink realizes this through his manager. Like he has a manager, who's obviously just trying to make money out of him. Through his rock and roll groupies who come because now he is a star. Through his manager, through his record label, trying to bring paramedics to his room and then somehow forcefully getting him to perform for a packed audience, even though he is in absolutely no state to do so, by bribing the doctor in charge. Now, this happens in the prequel to Comfortably Numb. I have just shown the pictures below. On the left is the manager, on the right is the paramedic. Yeah. So they just forcefully, put him into the show. They just put the clothes on. He's in no state, and they just put him to the show because obviously he has filled a full stadium, and the show must go on, right? So over the course of the album, Pink totally becomes close to like all the byproducts that come along with being a commercially successful artist. So when we come down, we're able to see. I'm really sorry. There's a lot of noise. Let me go to the other part. Just I apologize. Just give me.
nii. ta vahetab ruumi praegu.
väga tipi heli oli seal. võib juba küsimusi esitada.
Ja ma arvan, ma küsin, kas ta võib kokku võtta. Et ma mingi kuulamisega see on liiga keeruline. Me ei jõua sellega tegeleda, aga see materjal on olemas. Igaüks saab ise kuulata. Ja.
Pigem nagu arutelu.
Ja.
Analüüs on hästi huvitav, mida me räägime.
Ootame, kuni ta tagasi tuleb ja siis püüame tal.
Suunadega diskussiooni.
Ja. No, ma nüüd siin temaga koos läbi käis, ma saan ka aru, miks tal screenshotid on ja nii edasi. Ma ei saanud aru üldse, ma mõtlesin, et need on lindid. Klikkame. Ja.
Yes, we can continue. Yeah. Sorry, I didn't start my... You're able to see, right?
Yes. Could you come to a faster end now, because we want to discuss a bit. Could you wrap up from the point where you have left us now? Can you wrap up it a bit faster? Sorry for...
Okay, we keep going down. I'll just read through a little bit faster. As the album is a loop, I feel the song Young Lust becomes the tipping point which leads to the initial song Thin Ice. As seen in the scenes above, in Young Lust, the groupie/appreciator of his commercial success enters into his hotel room world. Pink is psychologically not in the modern world, luxuries that surround him in the physical reality, but it's psychologically in 1944, as he's glued to his TV all the time with old war tapes of British generals who took the decision to make his, father sacrifice his life. So we could say that in the song Thin Ice, in which he's swimming in an infinity pool, which is the byproduct of his commercial success, he finally psychologically breaks down and immerses himself in the red blood of 1944, as seen in the images below, which take him back to the father's incident. So, yeah, so if you go skating on the thin ice of modern life, don't be surprised when a crack in the ice appears under your feet. You slip out of your depth and you break into thin ice. So we'll just go through the images. So he's swimming in this modern world, but all he can see is and feel is the blood of his father's death. As we see, the pool becomes completely red. So yes, I have drawn a model below of how this contradictory relationship with appreciation for his music let him sink into the swimming pool and go through the song Goodbye Cruel World to enter the halftime of the album, where the wall has been built completely. This is how the album operates during the live shows as well, that the wall gets built one brick at a time till the song Goodbye Cruel World at halftime, and the second part of the album starts. In the beginning of the second half, Pink is genuinely in the flesh. This is how the beginning of the show started, with the question, in the flesh, ? So in the model below, Pink truly operates from the flesh for the first 3 songs of the second half of the album. Hey You, Is There Anybody Out There, and Nobody Home. So I have drawn these 3-dimensional circular model of the wall inside, which the life of Pink operates at. Top layer is the modern world. The middle layer, yeah, you're on the right image, Gerhard. Middle layer is the songs One of My Turns, and bottom, when he completely loses himself, is where he goes into Hey You. That's how the transition happens. And the screaming face you see as elevation, that is like self-expression, and also becomes surreal for the bomber plane which comes and kills his father actually. So that's how the model operates. So I'll just go down. So as the vibration of his commercial success does not match the vibration of the source of his songs, he slips through the cracks of modern lives. So that's what in the model, he just falls one layer below the other in the 3D model. He slips through the cracks of modern life and falls in the middle layer, where he shaves his eyebrows and disidentifies himself from his societal self. So this is where he shaves his eyebrows, shaves everything, and becomes this Pink. Becomes this in the flesh Pink. So we're going down. So songs like Empty Spaces, In the Pink, Part 1, Thin Ice, they all have this, surreal, you can say symbolic way of showing like Big Brother is watching you kind of a thing, where, you constantly see this rotating authority thing, which is like a CCTV camera in the modern age. Coming to the song Mother, understanding the polarization between care and smothering in Pink's psychology. So, yeah, so if we come to the highlighted part of the lyrics, Mama's gonna put all of her fears into you. Mama's gonna keep you right under her wing. She won't let you fly, she might let you sing. Mama's gonna keep baby cozy and warm. So there's a very big contradiction of like what care means to his mother, like smothering or like controlling is care for her. And this has a huge impact later in the album. So leading to inability to fly with one's own wings. Just the highlighted part. Mama's gonna check out all your girlfriends for you. Mama won't let anyone dirty come through. I'm just highlighting the red parts. Mama's gonna wait until you get in. Mama will always find out where you've been. And when you come down, you'll always be baby to be. Mother didn't need to be so high. Now this is where he's talking about like once the wall is built. So this symbologically keeps going down where he goes on dates and all, and everything keeps coming back to his mother. So surrealism in the empty spaces video montage. So Pink symbologically explains his changing inner emotional landscape subjectively with objects that have left a deep psychological impact through his cartoon montage. Yeah. So this empty spaces montage is a very beautiful surreal expression in cartoon form. So we have these two flowers. I'm just gonna run through as you're saying because we don't have much time.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. So we have these two flowers, and we have this. When you see the video, you'll be able to see that the left one is a male one, and the right one is a female one. So the left one is very like reluctant to enter the right one. The male is very reluctant to enter the female because of the way the mother has smothered the child. Is that every girlfriend I'll pick out for you, or I'll take care of you, that nobody dirty comes in and stuff. So the male energy is, how do you say, very reluctant in this case, and gets completely swallowed by the female energy, and you start to see these two flowers translate into a man and a woman's energy. That's why I've written hair and legs. The hair becomes the, what do you say, the female, and those parts, the tentacles of the flower becomes the leg where she comes out. At this point is where the highlighted lyrics mother starts to make sense, as this so overprotected my mother that Pink, or the male energy, is reluctant to engage with the female flower, and that you'll see in the lyrics as well. So hair and Pink I've just highlighted. Now when we go, I'm just running through, Gerhard.
Yes.
So as we come down, right, you see the same surreal representation of the lady who is holding him during the last song, which is Trial, and she wears. Now this is the flesh part of Pink. When we say in the flesh, right, we're talking about this. In the hair image, we're talking about this little fleshy thing that is Pink behind the wall. He's sitting behind the wall, and that is where he's actually in the flesh. So she wears him around like a necklace, and just goes around. And in the next song, Empty Spaces is where there's a beautiful, you can say, couplet formation in lyrics, which all stick together very well, and there's a beautiful rhyme sequence. So I'll just run through that. So yes, the hair, just below, if you see the lady, her legs start to look like hammers, and they become the dictator's march and become their flag as well later. So these are all the surreal imagery which is used, where subconsciously one object in his life becomes translated into a different object. And as I go down the images, I've written flesh, and that is the in the flesh Pink that she starts to wear like a necklace, that she's marching again with those hammer like legs. Yeah, so part 2 video montage. So this happens very similarly to how that pigeon came out. So here we are talking about this male energy coming into these lips. Those lips turn into vagina, and the female basically eats the male, and she starts to fly like a bird, and that bird becomes the same bomber plane which had destroyed Great Britain. And Now what happens as the plane flies away out of Great Britain, we see a complete, wall getting erected. Now this is where the wall of modern life comes in for Pink, and like all the objects start coming up, and it just becomes like every, how do you say, high in consumerism, and he just doesn't find meaning at all in it. Now, understanding the last, now we're coming to the important last bit. I can finish in like 10 minutes. Is that okay, Gerhard?
10 minutes is okay. Yes.
Okay.
Great.
So now, yeah, this is an important part. I'll go a little slow on this. These are the last two sections. Yeah. So understanding Goodbye Cruel World, which is how the first half finishes, and the album or even the live show, and understanding Comfortably Numb. Okay, now this is like the deepest part of it. So the deepest fulcrum point of the album, where Pink's naked psychological truths are revealed, happen here. This is where I have constantly mentioned light. The search for the initial light is what Pink is actually after. As we have discussed before, the album starts with Pink dad dying in the war. The scene after the lantern where Pink's dad lights it, and the sun in the background comes up. So this running scene keeps happening throughout. This running scene of what Pink runs towards happens multiple times, but only in Goodbye Cruel World, which is like the last song of the first half, which is how the first half of the album ends, with the wall being erected. Now, even in the live show, right, every brick is put with every song. And at the end of the first half, you see like all the bricks have been laid up. Goodbye Cruel World happens, and that is where this video montage actually gets you. So at the first half stage mark, we see the same scene with Pink smoking the cigarette as Goodbye Cruel World is playing in the background. The wall has been erected completely, and we see young Pink running exactly to the fulcrum object, the main fulcrum object towards which he's been constantly running, that has not been revealed yet throughout the album. So we see the wall being erected, we see Pink smoking like he was in the beginning, and we see this young Pink coming on the ground and coming to this one fulcrum object, and the first half ends. That's how the live show actually happens. So that's first half, then we have second half. So only in Comfortably Numb do they actually show what is Pink actually running towards. Goodbye Cruel World and the first half of the album finishes with Pink reaching this object, and the first half ends. In Comfortably Numb, only in Comfortably Numb do they actually extend the scene to what Pink is running towards. But this only happens at the extreme deterioration of Pink's psychological health during Comfortably Numb. Comfortably Numb starts with his manager and the doctors entering the hotel room to find Pink completely unconscious, watching the regular war films. At the absolute shake of shock, his manager forces the paramedic and the doctor to, forcefully take Pink to the show. As the camera finally pans down, and we see Pink pick up this helpless rat. This is for the first time in Comfortably Numb that the camera shows, and we actually see what it is. So it's actually a rat. It's actually a helpless rat, which is sitting alone in the middle of the ground. Pink picks up this rat and pets it kindly and takes it back to mother to show it to her, because that is what he always does. She reacts with absolute disgust and asks him to get rid of it and take it away from her. So in my opinion, this is like the deepest point, because every time the scene comes that the father and Pink, father's light, and then Pink running onto this ground, and Pink running onto this ground, and this is the volume, please. And Pink running onto this ground, and this is what he just comes to. He comes to this rat, he picks it up. Now here, I would say as a surreal symbol, he symbolized his deepest, you can say, most vulnerable artistic self, as this, isolated rat in the middle of a ground, which is beautifully expressed, in my opinion. He picks up this rat, takes it to mother, as we see in the montage. She gets disgusted and he runs away again. The scene of the mother cuts exactly when the lyrics say, "You will not understand, but this is not how I am. I have now become comfortably numb." This happens exactly when the mother doesn't, appreciate the rat. That's followed by David Gilmour's very famous second solo. And in terms of surreal depiction of the subconscious identification to an object objective reality, I feel this depicting Pink's interiority as that he identifies with who is what he calls as the bleeding heart of the artist in the end of the album, depicting his deepest, most vulnerable self as a stray rat that Pink finds in the middle of a ground and brings back to mother for her acceptance. Being rejected by mother for showing or revealing his most deepest self, his most deepest core, Pink's psychology. Gerhard, we're on the same page, right?
I try to follow where on what page you are.
I'm coming to your. Yeah. Just one. I'm just one page below you.
Yeah, one page below.
Yeah. Next page. Yeah.
This one. Okay.
Page, yeah.
Great.
Yeah. So in terms of surreal depiction of the identification, being rejected by his mother for showing or revealing his most deepest core, Pink's psychological coping mechanism with the external world begins here by making life circumstances or situations into bricks and erecting a wall around himself for psychological protection. So, since his most deepest core self got rejected by the mother itself, everything that happens in his life, he starts to make it into a brick. And then those bricks eventually become a wall. And that's how he kind of got isolated. So after this point, very beautifully what happens is, I think if we come to the photos below, the mother is trying to kiss him, right? Mother's trying to come and kiss him. But you can see that she's only able to kiss the walled self. Like everyone now is not able to reach Pink. Like they come, but they are not able to reach him. The video montage follows the same sequence as he is singing. I have become comfortably numb is when Pink runs away with the rat and the older Pink. Yeah. I'm just on one page above. Yeah. So the video montage follows as the comfortably numb starts. Pink runs away with the rat, and the old Pink is being put on a mask in a hotel at the same time. His mother is coming and kissing the walled self. Now, he goes and takes this rat and keeps it inside this old warehouse and puts a sweater on it. Okay, so this is the sweater he keeps wearing like all the time. So to reiterate the connection of how Pink imagines care to another living being, the scene beautifully shows Pink running away with the rat and keeping it in a little small warehouse inside a straw box, and Pink removes his sweater only for this incident. Throughout the whole album, you see Pink always wearing this sweater. This is the only time he removes it. Which is all Pink removes the sweater and puts it on the rat and keeps it safe inside a straw box, as they show that this is how his mother cared for him by putting a blanket when he was seriously ill when he was a child. They take back to that same scene. When he was ill, his mother would put a blanket around him. Same thing, he puts a sweater on this rat. At this time, we see that the doctor also walking in, looking at Pink's walled self as the paramedics give him an injection, and the worms have already started coming. Now, the worms is very symbolic here. We'll come to it in the last sense. In this beautiful surreal depiction, Pink's dad now walks outside his walled self with the dead rat, and young Pink immediately runs to the warehouse to check on his right and realizes that the rat is dead. Now, here's what happens, that rat is basically Pink's most innocent, you can say, artistic self, the core, the very deepest core. Now his dad himself is walking away with the corpse of that rat. And they beautifully cut to this point where Pink, intuitively knows that something is wrong with the rat or his core self, goes to check. The rat is dead. He puts it in the river. And that is after which whoever is walking around Pink and meeting him, right, they're only meeting his walled self. It's very beautifully shown. You also see actually a groupie behind. And like the school teacher and everyone who comes, they're not able to interact with Pink. This is what, in my opinion, comfortably numb means. That he's gone to a point where his core self is not, is literally dead. And now he is okay with becoming the opposite, which is the dictator, which is the antagonist who caused all this. Yeah, so this is where I see the opposites playing out. I'll just quickly rush through. I'll try to finish in as soon as I can. Yeah.
Yes.
So we go down and Pink, he comes out of the same hotel room where the lights were hitting. So here what happens is every time the light hits, because inside the wall is symbolized as being a very dark and safe place, you can say as a womb. As soon as he comes out, light hits his flesh, it tears out, and like worms come out, and then once he tears his own flesh apart, the dictator is born. So now when we come to the song In the Flesh, this is in the second half of the film, of the album, after Comfortably Numb. I think if you come down to the lyrics, you will see the difference in both of their titles. Now it is In the Flesh. That is that Pink has become completely numb. His core self is dead. Now he's completely okay with being in the flesh as a dictator. Yeah, and they play out the whole scene like in reverse. So now we come to the last song. Yeah, so I'm finishing off with this. So understanding trial. The trial is the culmination where the lines of follow the worms, they keep happening all the time through the album, leads to the court where the worm or the entity which has rotted through Pink's flesh is now the judge for Pink's trial itself. Yeah, so Pink, who is deeper than the flesh, is sitting behind the wall in a hospital toilet as the guard opens the door, and the door to the wall opens as we have discussed in the model sketch, and the worm comes out, and the worm begins the trial. Yeah, so this in my sketches you can see, which we discussed, that that chains open and the final song has come, the trial. I think it makes sense right now.
Yes, yeah.
That those hands of the mother, they open, and now we are in the last song where the trial is happening. That is, the judge is able to open that wall and see what is actually rotting. So yeah, I've just pasted some of my sketches above where you see the structure of the building where the trial happens and the judge opens the multi-layered wall which Pink had built. Since the trial is a culmination of all the peoples or incidents who became bricks in the wall, the father, the plane, the mother, the lips, all come hunting at Pink in one shot. I think you can see this beautiful surreal montage. The plane becoming the mother becoming the lips. Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. You're on the right page. Yeah. And in the depiction of the lips becoming the vagina. Now, this is very important because here is where we see the relation between the mother and his wife, actually. Yeah. In the images below, in the depiction of the lips becoming the vagina, the trial becomes a culmination point. The same female flower energy, which we had seen in empty spaces, becoming the mother and sucking naked Pink back to the source, into mother's embrace in their home next to a fireplace. Going back in rewind to the lyrics, this was in Mother, yeah, which I've highlighted. Mama is going to keep you cozy and warm. So now if we look at the montage, we can see that the wife starts to wear Pink as a necklace. Now those same lips, right, they suck Pink in. It becomes mother's embrace. The lips becomes the mother, and mother is there in the home. And now she has become she's taking care of him. I think we can follow the surreal montage, right? Yeah. So
Yeah.
now I'm coming. Yeah. So now here is where the the opposite happens. Is that the plot goes deeper as mother's mothering care had eventually led to actually building the wall. Here is where, when we study it deeper, we realize that okay, mother was not just taking care of him; she was also helping him build a wall, which becomes a highly complex plot as the idea of love and someone harming Pink from the outside, where the bricks were formed, or an exact opposite with each other. And doesn't matter what Pink chooses, but he ends up inside the wall. So here is what happens is that if Pink had just chosen mother and stayed, within society structure, if you say, he would have still been inside a wall because he's inside mother's care. Pink went ahead and rebelled as an artist, you can say, and chose his own path. He still ended up building a wall. So here is where the contradiction comes, that no matter what Pink had done, he would have been in a wall. And the last song comes, the jury opens up the trial, and this is followed by the worm asking to break down the wall and expose Pink to all his peers, which means exposing to the bricks, and he tears down the wall, which means he tears down the full 3D structure, the model which we had sketched out. Now, Gerhard, just let's quickly go to the next document. That's the last part, just the discussion on the whole thing. It's just one small thing.
I have to.
The trial, it's called the trial, just the last part.
Sorry. Part 2. The trial. Okay.
Yeah. Just come to the bottom of it because the Google Doc had stopped working, so I had to make a new. I had to just make a new one. Just the last section. It's called interpreting the ending.
Sorry.
So we're done. Yeah.
Let me check out. where we are.
Just like, yeah, you can just, you want me to share that file?
In the end.
I can just copy that and paste it in our chat. Gerhard, I'll just paste it in our chat. You can just open it directly then. It's open to view for all. Yeah, I've given it in the chat.
Then I have to go to the.
Jitsi chat. I've given in the Jitsi chat.
Yes. Yeah. No. I think I have. You may not see it, but I have it here.
You have it. Okay.
Yes.
Can you just go to the bottom? Quickly come to
Yes.
the bottom. The last page. It's called Understanding the Ending.
Understanding the ending. Okay, let me.
Interpreting the ending. Sorry, interpreting the ending.
Interpreting the ending. Yeah. We see it, but. Let me share it again. Then it should be visible.
That is the last part, so I can finish in 2-3 minutes.
File. Yeah. Sorry, it's not so. Do we see?
Yeah, it's below this. It's below this. Interpreting the ending, right? Is it that? Yeah, interpreting the ending. Yeah.
Yes, here we are. Please.
Yeah. Are you able to see the images of the boys, of the little boys?
We see the image.
Yeah. They are those images. Let's focus on these images and I'll just read through quickly.
Okay.
Okay. So, interpreting the ending, what is a brick in the wall? In the ending is where we see that the album is most likely a loop, that everybody would have a different interpretation of what is a brick in the wall. After the worm tears down the wall, we see small children, which I've highlighted in yellow here, younger than the young Pink. Now, this is really important. Important point to note is that as Pink was never shown at this age during the album, which means that this is outside or before Pink's story. We see these small children picking the bricks and putting them inside small toy containers. Yeah, so this is the last scene. The question comes up is what kind of positive or negative wall are these children going to build with these bricks? As the saying goes for creatives, square pegs in a circular hole. What will these children build with these psychological bricks of Pink? That is where the question comes. And now on to the last 3 photos of this little boy who's smelling something, right? So very interesting thing to note is this is how this is the last scene of the album. A very interesting thing to note is the ending scene where a boy picks up the bottle inside. Yeah, you're on the right page, Gerhard.
Yeah.
A boy picks up a bottle inside which there is a solution, like a liquid, which he smells and makes his face in a very disgusting way and throws that liquid out of the bottle and empties the bottle, and the film stops. It is important to see that there is another boy on the left carrying Pink's brick as the boy enters the bottle, as the boy empties the bottle / spirit / soul. Now, I am interpreting this in this way. In symbolism, it is been denoted many a time that spirit or the soul is found inside a bottle. I think we have all heard of genie inside a bottle, right? Like, genie's soul or spirit is hidden inside a bottle. So I am interpreting this as once the wall is broken, the soul of Pink is actually inside this bottle. This young boy is like smelling it, he gets disgusted, he throws it away. But another boy is actually using the same bricks of Pink and building something. Mm-hmm. So did this boy just find Pink's spirit or soul inside this bottle? If he did, so has he gotten disgusted by it and wants to build something completely different with these bricks? The question is open. So yeah, I can say that and if you come to my last sketch, there is a little vacuum cleaner. In the beginning of the film, the lady actually touches on this vacuum cleaner. So when she touches on this vacuum cleaner is where I feel that she vacuums the bleeding heart of the artist's soul. She vacuums that, and here it translates in a very symbolic way inside a bottle in the end. And as I've drawn, the child actually pours that soul out because he gets disgusted by it and he wants to maybe create something new. Now, again, I say bleeding heart of the artist. That is how the credits go. When the credits are playing, it comes up with this song, Bleeding Heart of the Artist. And it's interesting to know that Roger Waters ended up forming a new group called as Bleeding Heart of the Artist. Now, probably the bleeding heart of the artist is what is the rat, I feel, which is like his core self. which he wanted to express. Now the question is open: is that are these children, that is the new generation, what are they building with Pink's wall? What are they building out of this understanding of the album? That's it. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Great. Let me stop the sharing and we can see you. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, I have stopped the sharing so we can, Hans raises his hand, he wants to say or ask.
Sairam, thank you very much for this beautiful and for this huge presentation of a whole album of these music videos. And for me, it was a bit surrealistic because I haven't seen that. I think I don't know. I cannot rely to the subject what you analyze. It's maybe a bit surrealistic for me. But of course, then I have to do it otherwise. I have to find it in YouTube and see it. And because better would be to see the subject about where we talk and then to make an analysis. But my question is, of course, I have found that you talked about a lot of symbols. So this fluid in the bottle, the red, and what so. Something symbolizes the soul of the artist, or this grateful mothers embracing a lot of symbols. But what about symbols and surrealism? So,
What about symbols and surrealism? What is the interrelation?
maybe there was a lot of part, but I will say it's a symbolism. So
Yeah, there's a lot of symbolism, yes.
And, yeah. So what is the surreal part of this album?
One second, I'll just remove it.
What is part of the album, in my opinion, is how Pink is able to translate objective reality, things that have happened to him, his father, the school teacher, the mother, the female, the society, whatever happened to him, and how he is able to translate that into different selves. Like here, Roger Waters, who is the writer, has been able to translate many different ideas of his psychological state into, you can say, like the young Pink, the middle Pink, the in the flesh Pink, the dictator Pink, and then the way I am interpreting is as the soul of Pink itself, and then the rat as being the core of Pink's body, as the artistic self. So the ability to, I would say, float in between different identities of self itself is what I feel is that to be able to actively depict that in film format and keep that consistent, I feel you have to be in a highly automatic state. We're in a state of automatic flow of the outside world. But here, I feel Roger Waters is in a, you can say, automatic state with his own identity itself. Like, if you ask who is Roger or like who is Pink, he's left us so many different versions. And that is where I feel that he's able to automatically flow through that. And that is, I think, in my opinion, where, he is in surreal contact with his identity.
Yeah, I think now I thank you very much for this explanation. So I think I got that. If we can say that.
Hans, see you.
Can you? So, do you hear me? Do you hear me?
Yeah.
There was some.
Hi. Yeah, it's better now. Earlier I couldn't hear very clearly. Yes.
I think there were some internet glitches, but of course, I think I got now. Thank you for this explanation. I got the idea. So the different, the numerous identities of one of the same person is that that gives can be interpreted as a surrealistic tension between between the different identities of the same person. So, yeah. I got it. Thank you very much. And now, yeah, Andrus? Yeah.
meil on küsimus on nagu tunnistaja tool, jah. Hello, Sairam, Andrus here. Yeah, I have maybe question about some cultural point. So surrealism as European or Western modernist way of thinking is in some way very modernistic European or Western. I have question to you as Indian guy. So please, can you explain or can you have some kind of examples? Have you also in Indian culture in something similar, or have you in your traditions or also in high culture, whatever? Have you also something like that? What seems as surrealistic?
Sorry, I'm just removing the headphones because it's clear to speak. Yes. That's a very
To me, see, when you're talking about surrealism, I'll stick to the same point of identity. Who you call as self, right? Is extremely multi-layered in Indian culture. Like when you're talking about the self, there are what you call as many different lokas. Lokas are also called as worlds, like different worlds. So you can say in Hindu tradition, you say there are 14 worlds. You can say 14 worlds or parallel universes on which your, you can say, self or the soul actually lives at the same time. So you're living out different realities, and every, you can say every self in every loka is a world, is actually in a counterpoint relation with each other. So say you're playing a third, now you have to react, and if you're playing a major third there, you have to react and play a minor 6 in order to get an octave. Does that make sense? Like the selves are in you can say interrelationship with each other. That's in lokas. The other thing that I can think about are obviously the chakras. I think that is more popular in Western knowledge, I could say, is that you have 7 chakras, and all of these chakras are seen as different aspects of the same person. The lowest chakra is seen as the sexual, or the, how would you say, the survival part of the human being. And as your chakras keep so-called rising up, or the spirit starts to flow through different identity centers, when it reaches the chest, it's the heart. When it reaches the throat, it's self-expression. When it reaches the third eye, that is the eyes just between your 2 eyes at the center, it is said that you have singular vision, which means that you have a clear vision of what is truth. There's no duality anymore. And then the last self is where your your crown, what is called as the the top of your head, it kind of explodes, and your self is now become universal. That is, it has become omnipresent. So I'm coming back to Pink's surreal interpretation of multiple selves. I could say in these two contexts, that one is in lokas, that is in parallel worlds. You exist in all of these different worlds, and in parallel worlds, one is also called as patal, which is like hell, what you call as hell, right? So you're saying that there is always the most sinner self of yours in the bottommost reality. It doesn't mean that you are right now in hell or you will ever go to hell. It means that there always is a self which exists there. And if you vibrate with actions at that frequency, you will be there. Or if you're vibrating with a frequency which you can call as heaven, you will be there. But all of these are like in parallel voices. So if you are to look at a composition sheet, you could say that okay, at all points of time the flute is playing, at all points of time the violin's playing, at all points of time the bassoon is playing, but which one are you playing at this moment? You know, are you the flutist at this moment? Are you the violinist at this moment, or are you the one playing the double bass, or are you the one playing the, you know, the timpani hits or something? So you could, if you look at the composition sheet like of orchestration, you could say that all the different voices are different lokas or different worlds. All of them exist at the same time. All of them are going through the same bars. Like in music, they're all going through the same bars of time. But it depends on like what are you activating, you know, like which instrument are you becoming at this time to express the self. So I would say in terms of self, that's the way I see it.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
It sounds convincing. So, yeah.
äkki Mardil on küsimusi?
Have,
Mart, kas sa kuuled?
we have a colleague online, Mart Jaanson.
Mart, oled sa online? On sul ka teemasid? Tee mikrofon lahti.
Olen küll, jah.
Ja. Kas on midagi, mida tahad sa küsida või rääkida? Lisada? Is there something you could ask or add?
What concerns me right now, I don't want anything to add. Thank you.
Yeah, okay. Of course. I wanted to ask you, Sairam, that the whole thing is very audiovisual. So, and your analysis is quite detailed, but it was not so easy to follow because of the format. So, but I understood that it's not only the music, it is also the montage, it is how the film is built up, etc., and the visual symbolism. Yeah, this plays in Gesamtkunstwerk role. So it's and on the other hand we have the textual level, what you have very well explained, going through the lyrics, etc. What is for you the most surrealistic part of this audiovisual whole? What has the most surrealistic levels of this whole thing, or are they playing together in a way that it sparks as a whole? So, and we couldn't take out just the lyrics or just visuals, because the music, I think, it has contrasts, etc. But the music again is not in a way surrealistic as we would, as modernists, we would say, okay, yeah, we can speak about contrasts, even like in my Beethoven example, we can interpret it like this, but it is not. It is nothing we would we as musicians would say, oh, that's now especially surrealistic. What do you think? What part is the more surrealistic of the whole album or the film, the whole thing? We can't hear you. We can't hear you.
Äkki sa võtsid maha selle kõlli? Meie enda selle.
No, we can't hear you. We can't hear you, Sairam. Your microphone is closed, I see. Please open your microphone.
Oh, I'm sorry, my microphone was off. Okay. Yes.
Okay.
That was an excellent question, and yes, the music per se isn't surreal, if you're just talking about music, I would feel Eric Satie's Gymno feeds as being extremely surreal. As soon as I listen, my mind is transported to a very surreal place when we're speaking about Satie, for instance.
Yes.
But in the wall, I was able to do this through the doc because you told me there's 45 minutes. Because
Yes.
I also have a musical analysis of the whole thing. That is the musical composition wise, the way the keys are moving and the way the structure, like the musical structure is happening. But I was sure that it wouldn't fit in 45 minutes. So,
Yes, and it is not easy for us through the internet to make things playable and listenable. So we could think about doing a kind of video also. Then things can be composed and can be better transmitted, etc. So I would be very interested in your more detailed musical analysis, of course, as well. So
true. We can, we can totally do that. And but as you're saying, here the surrealism exists more in. As we are saying, the surrealism exists more in the idea of the self and the way it is, slowly translating. But it, just a sec. So the way it's getting translated. So ideally, I would recommend that such a discussion would be best if we just play the whole album or the film or even a live show. If you play the live show, I think we can easily have this, discussion. If the audience has just freshly seen it, it's very easy because in the live show, all these things what I'm speaking about, they happen like really in front of us. Like a brick is being put in the wall after every song, and you see a mother come up as one character, and the bricks happen at halftime. So it's a very visual thing, and the album was kind of written for the show. The show was the goal to have all these things come up. The show was the goal, and what's the most surreal part of about the music? I would say sound design is more surreal here than even the music. At least in songs like Empty Spaces. If you could play Empty Spaces at the end of after we finish the discussion, would be great. If you can just play Empty Spaces.
Yes, I think everybody will take later time to listen to the album, to watch the film, and to see the live show. The links I have given to our chat, etc. So today we have to, after we finish here, we have to go to the MASSIA place to prepare for our 12 hours night concert. So, but your material is spread and people should find then their own time to contemplate. And if you say that the show is the most clear, then why not starting with watching the show on YouTube, and then we can individually continue.
That's correct. Yeah. That would be correct. That would be the best way. That would be the best way to do it.
Yes.
So that would be the
Yeah, because we are running a bit out of time. Maybe we have here in the round, we have maybe, could you close your microphone at the moment, Sire? Yeah. Maybe we have time for one or two questions, and then we wrap up the whole thing.
Maybe I see here also Jacob Barton from the US here. Maybe
Oh.
he has some. Hi, Jacob.
Hi, Jacob.
Hi, Jacob. Microphone.
Jacob, we have a colleague from the US, the microtonal colleague, but we.
He's coming.
But we have no picture. Jacob, Sairam.
Yeah.
Is it your microphone that it's open? I don't see it.
No, my microphone is open.
Yeah, then please close it at the moment. We tried to reach the colleague from the US. We have a colleague who was listening from the US, and we tried to reach him, Jacob. But we...
Jacob, can you hear us?
Jacob? No.
Hello, Cosmos.
Jacob's microphone is off. Jacob's microphone is off.
It is off, yeah. Okay.
Okay, it was nice to have you here, and if you want to say something, then comment here this session, then please feel free.
Jacob, your microphone is closed. And we have no picture of him. Maybe it's just his digital identity here.
Maybe you can check the chat. Maybe you can just chat, text him in the chat.
Yes, yeah, I will write. Open the chat. Hi, Jacob. Do want to say something? Yeah, it's not easy. Okay, our Finnish colleague is now here. Thank you. Okay, our Finnish colleague who was here in the room, he is now leaving. We are a little group, but international group. So it's very interesting to have you, Sairam, from India. Then with Finns, we are constantly communicating. Then we have our US colleagues, etc. But yeah, maybe Jacob is just I don't know, making coffee, or he's already sleeping, or just awakening.
Morning in the US.
Actually, I have a question to you, Gerhard.
To me, yes,
Yeah.
please.
Yeah. My question actually is that you made last year some kind of model of surrealistic music.
Yes.
So please, can you, in very short way, to comment what new you have explored, what new you have researched now with this model?
Yes, thank you, Andros. I had forgotten it. So let me wrap up my own thing too. So thank you. Yeah. Where I can share again this whole thing here.
Last year model is in our homepage.
Yeah, the model is approachable. I don't. Okay. I screen sharing now. Here we go now to my. Yeah, you should see my slideshow. Yeah. So yeah, indeed, having then read the analysis of Beethoven's Ninth Symphony, etc., by Zizek, I then and not only through this, but also through having experienced part of the 12-hour night concert, 6 hours. So I was thinking about, first of all, what is important is time. For me, what would be an enlarging of my model from last year would be to have an even more emphasis on time. Time as an aspect that may turn things into something that is surreal or it is not surreal. For me, time has started to become a quite important aspect I didn't touch last year. This is, I come to this last slide and I think it becomes more clear. And the other thing is, of course, it's individually taking place in our heads. If things are surreal or not, it takes place in our head. For instance, in the evening, in the night concert event, there are sounds that are juxtaposed to each other, which up to a certain point for me, I'm thinking, okay, now I'm understanding it well. It is juxtaposed, but I get tired of it. So for me, it's too much in my face, what's sounding there, but this ends at a point where I let it go and I don't think about what I'm expecting. If I'm too much expecting, then this blocks me. So, and then I decided to let it go. And so the search for what is surreal or not, I just abandoned it. And I said, okay, I will try to be in this sound world, and I will abandon my expectations. And then in that moment, I was not searching anymore for something that should be surreal. I think I was then drawn into what's really happening. So this is, but this takes time. This can take, for somebody, it can be very fast, but for this time, it took much more time for me. The keywords I took for me is before the beginning, and then the beginning, and then the repetition thing. If something repeats constantly, then it can be done as an automation. So, and if we have programs that create automations, then for me, it is still the case that it's still me who is deciding whether this repetition is surreal or not. So, and this is because nothing is exactly repeated. Okay, technically maybe yes, but our perception, because I'm rather the perception guy. So nothing is repeated. I don't hear things the same way after 1 hour, or after the second hour, after the third hour. So that's why time becomes has become for me very important to wrap up how I would my last year's model enlarge. It's not a big enlargement, but what I have been thinking is about what is the real world. And here is something that grows naturally, like a plant. It's not too slow, it's not too fast. So we can treat it as the real world in a biological fashion. So I think nobody would say that the tree is growing too slowly, or that a little flower, the blooming would be too fast. Also, I don't think so that anybody would tell that it is something too much or too less. But the surreal version of it would be something is too long, or something is too short, or something is too much, or something is too less, or before the beginning takes a long time. We could, the Beethoven's Ninth Symphony beginning, we could elongate it technically. We could make it a whole night just playing this beginning of the first the not yet theme. We could play it in an elongated way, and then it would be surreal, I think. So Beethoven isn't doing it in a way we would feel it is surreal, but maybe in his times people maybe felt it's strange how he's starting this music. But we have the possibility technologically and with apps and or with algorithms to elongate this thing. And I'm thinking this, then it would become also musically surreal for me. So thinking in these terms, something is too much, something is too short, something takes it's not beginning, it's about to begin. So and these are psychological states that I think can be related then also to dream states, etc., etc. In dreams, things may last, and you can do nothing. The room is I have a childhood dream that the room is enlarging, and it doesn't stop until I wake up. And I can do nothing. Or the other dream is that I'm flying with a bicycle. I get off the road and I'm flying. And it lasts. It's too much. It lasts. And then, of course, there could be maybe also it's too short, or it's just abrupt also. These are these thoughts I had when I thought about how to enlarge my model. I hope I could somehow express it in an understandable way. Ask more if you have questions.
I think it is enough because it's great findings.
No, I'd like. Is someone asking?
Yeah. Sairam,
Okay.
could you follow my talk, my thoughts?
Yes, I was able to follow, and I wanted to know what is you and everybody on our call. What is your idea of dream analysis? Like, because I analyze my dreams a lot, and for example, like studying the wall. For doing this analysis, as I studied the wall, I realized that I am able to develop better dream analysis skills, because in our dreams, especially in my dreams, I find that I am in different identities. Sometimes the so-called villain or the antagonist is just me. It is just a polarity.
Yeah.
Like who is against me. So when someone is against me, I just realize that okay, I'm just in a tritone relation with the opposite. Like okay, I'm G flat right now. The other person is C, but then I'm C and then he's G flat. So just this this understanding is really developed from studying the wall. And yes, also some things about, like when we speak about our circle of fifths, right? I use that a lot as analogy. I see that as okay, if we are talking about, like we are saying, okay, I am 150 degrees away from something.
Mm-hmm.
That means I'm only 30 degrees close to it if I do it in reverse. Like, if I'm as a hero, as a protagonist, if I am say 150 degrees away from something,
yeah,
I'm actually only 30 degrees away from it if I become a villain.
Mm-hmm.
Like the exact opposite. If I go from C to G flat,
yes,
or like from G flat to C, if I have to reach F,
yeah,
if I have to reach F, I'm like very far, right? From C, I have to finish the full circle to then reach F if I'm going in circle of fifths.
yes, yeah.
Yeah, but if I just become the villain, if I become G flat, if I travel from the tritone, if I become G
Yeah.
flat,
Yes.
I'm actually very close to F.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
So these are some of the things which I tend to interpret dreams as and try to put them as. And yeah, a lot of that happened just by studying and going through Greer's thesis as well. I highly recommend just going through Greer's thesis. I think it's very well done.
Yeah. Yeah. I very much like that you take it to a structural level.
Yeah.
This is let's say not all musicians, but I think we tend to think structurally. So this is very understandable to us, because we are still looking for how these things could be, how we could find it in music. But music is a very large thing, and many people have different understandings of what is music for them. And for I have understood, I think now through the two festivals last year and this year, that I am a quite surreal composer. So what I'm doing is very surrealistic music. I never thought before the festivals, I never thought about it, but through our discussions, etc., I think I should call myself a surreal composer. By the way, no, as one example, I relate very personal. I don't know about the colleagues, but if you speak about a tritone and about concrete notes, etc., then it becomes symbolic. So then it leaves something that, where non-musicians, very easy things in music can be surreal because they are not familiar with it, they haven't learned it, they cannot understand it, and I think there is floating a kind of understanding of what is surreal, which is on a very strange, itself surreal level. I don't understand. If a normal listener would tell me that my music is surreal, I wouldn't understand it, because for me it has become familiar. So I don't see any surrealistic thing in what I'm doing as a composer, but the listener who is not in me, who has not my thought world, for those things may very little things may be surreal, and I'm thinking, okay, I have no idea why this is so surreal for you. So then I start to see things from outside and try to understand what could be for the other person surreal. So this is so it stays very individual and personal, I think.
I wanted to also add that Gerhard had shared with me a composition by Hans in which you were playing the violin.
Yes.
I found it absolutely beautiful. I have just, I heard it like 3-4 times while I think making coffee.
Thank you. Yeah.
It just creates a beautiful mood in the mind. Even the violin playing is beautiful.
And your violin concerto.
The violin concerto.
Thank you, Sairam, for taking this.
No, I wanted to thank Hans as well, since I'm seeing him for the first time. It's a very beautiful composition. So just wanted to tell Hans.
Do you think that my violin concerto is in some way surreal?
Yes, at least in my experience, I heard it 3-4 times. It stays as a very, it just stays as a memory in me, like a beautiful, like a cloud, like a landscape. It has stayed in me.
Yeah.
I've heard it 3-4 times since Gerhard shared me. He has not shared me the full file. He has just given me like a little small part.
Yeah.
Yes, so I just know the last, I think, the movement ends in a very, it becomes a soundscape. So, yeah.
Of course, especially the second movement, I have thought really as a landscape, as a mountain landscape. You go to the mountain, maybe this line of the violin goes up and down, so this correlates with the height of the mountain. So that, of course, was some symbolic things. I was now hearing very carefully to Gerhard's statement, and that I'm very interested to understand how he now is a surrealist composer, because because also for me it was very interesting. Thanks to Andros to push forward this surrealist topic, what is a bit problematic for me, because, and still I've learned a lot, but I still don't feel that I would be now an surrealist composer. I think I struggle with this definition, and I'm still stuck in more like this constructivism, this modernist thinking. But of course, I know that only constructing is one composition method, and it's still possible to use intuition. And of course, as we see it, like German composer Karl-Heinz Stockhaus, and he was in this absolute opposite. He started as an integrate serialist composer, and then he came up with intuitive music. I have not really studied that what he was thinking like this, but he wrote poetry, and then you have to read the poetry and improvise after that, and maybe it's a bit surrealistic that one composer is going from this extreme to the other, and then he gets some, maybe he was built up his own esoteric way of thinking, so that is sometimes that he is living on the star of Sirius and all these things, what nobody can understand what he is meaning. But of course, this is his own world, and then maybe Stockhausen might be a surrealist composer in this way, but. For myself, of course, and we see that, of course, in the 50s, they rejected consciously the intuition, because he said it repeats your music education. But nowadays, our music education is a completely different, like they had. And if you have only classical music, Western classical music education, then of course your improvisations repeated it. But as you get wider influences, and you train yourself with challenges and with other things, then I think then a bit of surrealistic practice, I think, is in every activity of arts. And of course, maybe this surrealistic tension you might have if you are a Western trained musician, and so you hear first time microtonal music. So what we in Western music name microtonal music, what has completely different pitch organization, like normally 12th equal temperament piano is tuned to it. Then somebody liked it, somebody hated, somebody don't want to do it ever, and but of course it is something, as it makes a tension. So that was also with this ball and pierce scale. I have composed a couple of pieces in my compositional life, and then I remember 2000. I was playing that on the synthesizer, composing, and very rarely that somebody can play my pieces, of course, because it's complicated to learn. And then I was invited in Hamburg, where I had studied in 2004 to 6. They made a whole concert with this ball and pierce scale, the same scale I have in the violin concerto. And then I come in, I was hearing to the rehearsal before me, and I felt so familiar.
oh, it sounds so familiar. It's not anymore. It's not anymore strange for me. So I'm living in this microtonal scale, and so it might be.
Yeah, it feels like you've really owned that scale. Doesn't look like you're trying. It doesn't. Yeah, looks like that's natural for you at that time.
Yeah.
Yes, okay. I would love to hear the full piece. I think Gerhard told me he'll give it to me in a Google Drive or something.
Yes. Hear the full piece. Yes, and thank you very much. And I think we should
discuss this a little bit more. I'm really
our rounding together our day to day, and
tomorrow at 11 o'clock Estonian time.
Yeah.
When you are not sleeping, I don't know what time you have, but you are welcome to discuss.
We have tomorrow at 11 o'clock in the morning, we have our final discussion round, our traditional final discussion round. But yeah, you could join on the same link if you find the time and right spot, etc. So you are invited. You could join us tomorrow at 11.
Tomorrow at 11, I would be outside because I have some meetings.
Yes, yeah.
It would be difficult, but at a later stage, for sure, I would love to, discuss this. Yeah. Even with Hans, I just wanted to add one point. Last year, Gerhard and I, we had, when we touched upon surrealism, I had gone deeply into Morten Feldman. I'm sure they're aware of the composer Morten Feldman, and some of his really long compositions, like the 5-hour, 6-hour long ones. For me, they create a very surreal experience, especially his really thick chords, with so many minor seconds there. It creates beautiful textures. And those chordal textures itself, create a certain kind of a mood, which moves from one mood to the other. In my opinion, feels very surreal, and especially because his times are so long drawn. Some of those chords last 3-4, more than 3-4 parts sometimes. And you're just waiting for the silence. The silence itself creates, the surreal imagery. So maybe last year's lecture, if it's there, we had gone into it where silence would create the visual imagery in your head, the contemplation time that's needed to enjoy music. So yes, when I heard Hans's thing, that was something which came to my mind.
Yeah. Okay. Let's say we can continue in the chat to discuss the other topics, rhythm topics, etc. So let's keep in contact.
Yes, for sure. I would love to do this.
Then we can continue also on the other topics. So thank you that you took the time to contemplate on the Greer dissertation and to go through the wall, etc. So this was very eye-opening and detailed. So I'm very used to your way of speaking. It's very dragging into the whole thing. So thank you. I always enjoy your presentations.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the opportunity. And I love being part of this. I think we can speak on the rhythms later in the chat. Right?
Yes.
We can speak about that later. All right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's continue later in the chat.
Thank you for all for participants of our discussion.
Yes, thank you that you stayed so long for our discussion. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you all.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Keep in contact. Ciao.